Hello, Philip.
Hi, hello.
I'm talking from Mexico City. Hello.
Nice to talk to you.
How are you doing?
Fine, thank you.
Okay, I have your new book, Paul McCartney, the biography. It's excellent, and congratulations for this new book.
Thank you.
After writing the biography of the Beatles and the biography of John Lennon, was it easier for you to write a biography about the Paul McCartney? It's more easy for you?
No, these books are not easy to write. A book about pop music is very hard to write because so much of pop music consists of rubbish, charts and lists of album tracks and musicians, can be very boring, and often is very boring to read. And also the fact that everybody thinks they know this story. Journalists who review my books all usually think they are Beatles experts, and the funny thing about them is that they don't really like to be told anything about the Beatles they don't already know, and so they're liable to say there's nothing really new in this book, even when there are pages of new material. So it's very, very difficult. Again, taking a new line on Paul McCartney after doing John Lennon and the Beatles was not easy.
Okay. This biography is authorized by Paul McCartney himself. To which confidential source did you have access to portray ex-Beatle Paul McCartney?
Well, what I had really was it was a sort of authorization by the back door, really. He was saying, go ahead, I'm quite happy for you to do it. You can talk to anybody you like. So I talked to his brother-in-law, John Eastman, who'd never spoken to anybody before, members of his family too. But I never expected he would want to sit down and spend hours ploughing through his whole life, over 70 years, all over again. And to some extent, I didn't want to just repeat the Beatles story. So as you can see, the Beatles story is only about a third of the book. Because what was more interesting was Paul after the breakup of the Beatles, and how he managed to create another band that sold as many records and played to as many people or more people than the Beatles had.
Mm-hmm. What memories do you treasure most of the four Beatles, Fab Four?
Well, there was a time, certainly in Britain, when every time, whenever a new album came out, there was such excitement, and you knew they would have taken another giant leap forward. Not only that, you knew that they would look different, and they would be representing a new fashion as well. And even the design of the album would be typography that was totally new and chic. They had this extraordinary ability to be both really avant-garde and incredibly popular. It's a very unusual combination.
Mm-hmm. Have you thought about writing a biography about George Harrison?
Well, I wouldn't really want to do that. But my next book to come out is a biography of Eric Clapton. And George is quite a large part of that book, because, as you know, George's wife, Patty Boyd, left him for Eric Clapton, and Clapton and Harrison were best friends. And they stayed best friends even after that happened. So George is, is a major subplot of the Eric Clapton book.
Mm-hmm. Okay, Mexico City is one of the countries that has more fans of the Beatles. We have visited Ringo, Pete Betts, Paul McCartney, Frida Kelly, Mike Punk, and Geoff Emery. Have you thought about visiting our country?
No, I've never been. I've been to New Mexico. That's the closest. But I like to talk about this subject because talking is much easier than writing.
Mm-hmm. Egypt Station is McCartney's new album. What do you think about Paul McCartney's new music, and which album do you like the most about your recent recordings of Paul McCartney?
Well, he's someone who he was thought to have really sort of lost his magic in the 1970s, when he created the band Wings. But you don't just stop being a great songwriter. So the Wings albums had some wonderful individual songs, but a lot of the songs were very commercial, glam rock kind of material. And that continues. You know, he can't stop being a great songwriter. I don't buy every album and listen to it track by track. And in fact, since writing this book, I've kind of gone on a Paul McCartney diet. So a diet of not Paul McCartney.
Do you know if McCartney has already read the biography you wrote?
I've no idea whether he has. I think it's more likely people will have said to him, "Oh, this is really quite, positive." I did offer him the chance to read it himself, and he sent back a very surprising email saying, "I can't really decide who I am, so I'd rather not read someone else's idea of who I am," which I thought was surprising for him to say. But in general, I think probably people said to him, "This is quite a decent book about you."
What has not been learned about the Beatles yet?
Well, I can't tell you that until it's learned. But there's always some new little scrap of tape or somebody with a memory, because they went so wide in the world for the short time that they were together on top as the Beatles, and the story just goes on and on. So I thought I was writing a biography of the Beatles, would be my first and last music biography, but that didn't happen. I was never really allowed to leave the subject.
Why the people read the biography of Paul McCartney, in special the Mexican audience?
I think it's to discover a new Paul McCartney, one that is completely different from the public image of Paul, someone who's much more complex, more insecure, but who actually underneath is really, after all the adulation, all the fame and all the wealth, is essentially a decent human being, and mainly thanks to his father, his upbringing by his father, and someone that people will feel it's worthwhile giving their loyalty to.
Finally, something do you want to add? Could you share your social networks?
I don't really have a social network other than the telephone and email. I don't want to have to write a blog. I have too much other work to do.
Okay. Thank you very much for this interview. My English is not too bad.
That's good. No, you did very well. Thank you very much.
Thank you, and congratulations for this book. Hope you in Mexico City very soon.
I hope so. Thanks a lot. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye.